I made an app which has API integration, error handling, data model, animation, all done by ChatGPT. And here's how I did it, and stay tuned for my final thoughts. I started by giving ChatGPT an outline of what we are going to build. So I said, assume that you are an expert in Flutter and Dart, and we are going to build a movie app which will be using TMDB API to get the popular movies, and I want you to list down the steps that are required. And it gave a pretty good answer. So I followed the given steps and created a new Flutter project and signed up to TMDB and generated my API key. Now I asked ChatGPT to execute the third and the fourth step for me, which is to make an API call to TMDB and fetch the popular movies and store them inside a movie data model. To be honest, my expectations were very low because this stuff is very tricky for beginners. So I wrote a detailed prompt, and the response from ChatGPT just blew my mind. It added a base URL, made an API call to fetch popular movies, decoded the result from the response, of which I didn't know, and even made the entity class with from JSON to decode the data from the response with parameters. But after copying the code, which is what we do, it had some errors. Like there was no required field to our movies class, and it has passed string directly to http.get rather than the URI. So I asked ChatGPT to fix it, and it did successfully add required in the movie constructor. But for the HTTP GET, it just made it worse by using wrong methods. So I gently asked ChatGPT, hey, you did the parsing wrong, make it alright by rewriting the whole function. And this time, it did a good job. It has created a URL variable of the popular movies API and has passed it to uri.parse, which is the correct way. And to my surprise, it also added a poster path, which was a nice touch. Now let's create the UI. So I asked ChatGPT to simply create a movie screen with an app bar, and it did exactly that. But that was easy. So I increased the difficulty and asked ChatGPT to create a future builder and just show the title of the popular movie which we have fetched. And it created exactly that with a list view builder, error message, and a circular progress indicator. Though after pasting this in VS Code, I find it has misspelled the movies class, but overall it was great. And when I hot restart the application, I see a loading indicator and then the title of the movies, which is great, but still it is too simple. So it was time to test ChatGPT's creative juices. So I asked ChatGPT to build a UI where I want you to make a movie tile widget which will take a movies object as its parameter, and I want you to show this movie tile in a page view and add certain padding above and below the page view and in between. And then I simply copied the response and created a new movie tile file and pasted the code in it and fixed the imports. Then did the same process for the movie screen and made some minor fixes. And when I hot restart the application, the UI that ChatGPT came up with was really great. Like I can literally find 10 minutes long tutorial explaining this very UI. And I was not done here. Now I wanted to see if it can add a page view controller with a viewport fraction and change the height of this movie tile. So I write the prompt for it, and it did change the height to 400, and it added a page controller with a viewport fraction of 0.8. But when I update the code and restart the application, the viewport was working, but the height of the movie tile was not reflected. So instead of fixing that bug myself, I asked ChatGPT to give the page view a height of 500 and reduce the height of inactive pages to 400. Now I don't even understand what ChatGPT did here, but it completely surprised me. It has used the page controller position inside the animation builder to animate the height of the movie tile, which I didn't ask for. And when I updated the code and the result, I know I'm saying this a lot, but are really great. Look how smoothly it animates. And my thoughts on this are, ChatGPT is great in assisting and code debugging, and it can literally 10x your productivity. Like this app took me 16 minutes to make, which otherwise would be an hour and a half. And the only important thing you should know to use this power is how to ask correct prompts. So we have created an ebook called ChatGPT for Programmers, where we go through all of this, and it's available for free. So do check it out. Links in the description.